Today, we are cracking open the user manual for your brain. We're going to look at the work of psychologists Tversky and Kahneman to find the hidden glitches, the mental shortcuts that our brains use all day, every day, and see how those very same shortcuts can lead us way well off track.
You know that feeling, right? A snap judgment, an intuitive leap that just feels right. But here's the thought. What if that gut feeling is running on software with some predictable bugs? Yeah, let's get into it.
The official term for these shortcuts is heuristics. Think of them as your brain's cheat codes for dealing with a super complicated world. They're fast, they're efficient, and most of the time, they work pretty well. But, and this is a big but, sometimes they lead to what the original paper calls severe and systematic errors. And today, we're going bug hunting.
All right, first up, we've got a little something called the representativeness heuristic. This is basically our brain's obsession with stereotypes. We judge how likely something is based on how well it fits a story we already know. And in the process, we tend to ignore some really critical facts. So let me introduce you to Steve. This is a description taken straight from the study. Just read that for a second. Get a picture of him in your head. Shy, tidy, likes order. You got him? Okay. So what's your immediate gut reaction? Librarian or farmer? Come on, be honest. For most people, the answer is librarian. It just clicks, right? It feels so obvious. Well, that feeling, that's the stereotype trap in action. And here is where our brains totally short circuit. On the one hand, the description is a perfect match for our mental image of a librarian. But we get so caught up in that story that we forget a simple, boring fact. There are a ton more farmers in the population than librarians. It's not even close. So just based on pure odds, it is way more likely that Steve is a farmer, no matter what his personality is like. The takeaway? A good story can make us completely blind to the numbers. Okay, so we've seen how a good story beats statistics. But what happens when that story is just whatever's easiest for our brain to remember? This brings us to our next glitch, the availability heuristic. This one is huge. It's our brain's tendency to think that if we can recall something easily, it must be super common or important. All right, time for another little experiment from the paper. Quick, what do you think? Are there more words that start with a letter K or more words that have K as the third letter? Take a second. So as you're thinking about this, your brain is doing a quick search. And it's incredibly easy to think of words that start with K, isn't it? King, kite, no, they just pop right into your head, no effort at all. But now, try the other one. Try to think of words where K is the third letter. Suddenly, it's a lot harder, right? Your brain's filing system just isn't built for that kind of search. It feels slow, difficult, you really have to work for it. And boom, there's the reveal. Most of us guess that words starting with K are more common. Why? Because examples are more available to our memory. But in reality, it's not even close. There are way more English words with K as the third letter. Our brain makes a classic mistake. It confuses easy to remember with more frequent. This last one, oh man, you see this fallacy everywhere. From buying a car to negotiating a salary. It's called anchoring, and it's our brain's weird habit of getting latched on to the very first piece of information it hears, and then it has a really hard time letting go. Okay, let's do this one more time. Look at this equation. You have 5 seconds, no calculators, just give me a gut estimate of the answer. Go. Notice how you start with some big numbers, right? 8 times 7. That's already 56. Keep your guess in your head. Now, in the actual study, they showed a different group of people this version. It's the exact same problem, just flipped. So again, 5 seconds, give me your gut estimate. But this time, you're starting with tiny numbers. 1 times 2 is just 2. See how that feels different? So what happened? Well, the real answer is over 40,000. But check out these guesses. The group that started high with 8 times 7, their median guess was 2,250. The group that started low? Just 512. That is a massive difference. That first number they saw acted like an anchor, dragging their final estimate either way up or way down. It's a crazy example of how one totally random piece of information can completely warp our judgment. So these shortcuts are powerful, they're automatic, and they're happening all the time. But just knowing they exist is the first crucial step to fighting back. So how can we actually become better, clearer thinkers? Well, here's your basic toolkit. To beat the stereotype trap, always ask yourself, what are the base rates? What do the simple numbers say? To fight the overreaction glitch, you gotta look for real data, not just the vivid story that pops into your head. And to avoid anchoring, you have to be super suspicious of the first number you hear. Just ask yourself, is this number even relevant? But the biggest takeaway for all of this is simple. When a decision really truly matters, slow down. Force yourself to question that fast, automatic, and often wrong gut feeling. What Versky and Kahneman showed us is that nobody's immune to this. These aren't signs of being unintelligent, they're signs of being human. The real goal isn't to magically eliminate these biases, it's to get good at spotting them in action. So I'll leave you with this to chew on. Now that you know about the bugs in your own operating system, what's one belief, one gut feeling that you might just want to take a second look at?